Okay, we'll just wait a minute or two, see if Sherry's able to join us right away. Hi, Sherry.
Hello.
I just decided to wait a minute or two in case you were able to join us. So
Yeah, I was rushing. Sorry.
no problem. So if with that, we'll call the special meeting of council to order. And first thing we'll deal with is, of course, adopting the agenda. A recommendation that the agenda for the June 17th, 2022 special meeting of council be accepted and passed. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Please. Moved by Steve, seconded by Sherry. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to disclosure of pecuniary interest. I have none to declare. Councillor Burke?
No.
Councillor McCabe?
Have none, Andy.
Councillor Yake?
No.
Councillor Hearn?
Yes, around the transportation options section of the report.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to discuss that separately.
Okay.
Lisa,
So I think
you need to state what it is, why you're have a pecuniary interest.
My spouse is employed by one of the transportation options.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation doesn't deal with transportation options at that point, so we'll start with that. And if we get into discussing transportation options, then we'll stop and let Councillor Hearn excuse herself from that discussion. So we have a lengthy recommendation here. I'll read the recommendation and we got a mover and a seconder. Recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Wellington North receive report RPL 2022-12, being a report on the Mount Forest Lion Roy Grant Pool. And further, the council directs staff not to pursue the pool liner repair at the Roy Grant Pool in Mount Forest. And further, the council acknowledges without completing repairs, the Roy Grant Pool will not be able to open for the 2022 season. And further, the council directs staff to allocate $200,000 in a reserve to the new Mount Forest Outdoor Pool and Aquatic Center project funded by the township's Capital Reinvestment Reserve Fund. And further, the council directs staff to split the 2-hour afternoon public swim to 2 1-hour sessions to allow more users to access the pool. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan. Okay. Before I throw it open for discussion, I'll just allow staff to make any further comments. Matt?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Lennox. And anyway, this is a hard report to write. And I just want to go through the recommendation again. It's kind of the idea that probably the pool in Mount Forest, the old pool, as far as the Roy Grant Pool, doesn't open again. It allocates funds to the new pool, because I think that's what we've got to be thinking of. And then there's the 6th clause is just the idea that we're going to try to split what is normally a 2-hour session to 2 1-hour sessions to try to get more users. When we go to open the pool each year, there's risks around opening an old facility. And yeah, we have encountered some issues this year that would be costly to repair. And as staff, I think we're acknowledging that there's a new pool in the midst. But the issues to opening the Roy Grant Pool would be significant. Yeah, I would say staff is here to answer questions. The transportation option is really a challenge. But if that's something that council wants staff to consider, we will do that. Yeah, that's kind of my preamble, I guess.
Thanks, Matt. Did you want to comment on the staffing challenge as well?
Yep, certainly, Mayor Lennox. So we have 3 FTEs as far as full-time employees as it relates to guards this season. And we need two guards at a pool to have 30 people in the pool. So in Arthur right now, the best case scenario is we're going to have 30 people in the pool for a public swim. And yeah, we just don't have, we've had a couple resignations in the aquatics department recently. Like, we're really struggling with staff too. It's a challenge all around.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. We'll open the floor for discussion. Steve, go ahead.
And excuse me, through you, Mayor. The last piece to that recommendation about the 2-hour afternoon public swim, that's in Arthur.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yep, yeah, through you, Mayor Lennox. So that would be taking what are normally 2-hour slots in Arthur, and it would turn them into 2 1-hour slots just to try to get more people through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the way I understand that is that if people were waiting to get into the public swim, they would get in the second hour, and those who were in would be out, but could come back in if there's still space.
I agree.
Okay, Dan, I saw your hand there.
Yeah, just a little bit further to Councillor McCabe's question. Should that say the Arthur facility, the Arthur pool, should it be in there somewhere? I know that, I think we all know that, but maybe it should be in there just for clarification.
Matt, go ahead.
Yep, yeah, I would just say, as far as if the last clause read, and I'm going to ask Karen to listen, but basically, and further, that council direct staff to split the 2-hour afternoon swim to 2 1-hour sessions in Arthur, maybe is the punchline, to allow more users to access the pool. That's kind of, I think, what Councillor Yake is asking as a friendly amendment.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so with us splitting the public swim time and with us closing the Mount Forest pool, are we looking at expanding the schedule then to have the Arthur pool open more frequently, or on days that it was potentially going to be closed because of staffing issues?
Mandy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lennox, through you. So currently the schedule that we have reworked has Arthur open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And that's to allow for lane swim, cleans, day camp, older adult and family swim, and public swims. And then Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays opening at 11 a.m. for older adult, family swim, public swims, etc. And then being open on Saturdays from 12 to 3:30.
Go ahead, Sherry.
So we're not going to have it open at all on a Sunday where a family could come and enjoy the pool, I guess is my question.
Yeah.
Mandy, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Lennox. So with our staffing shortages that we have, we cannot open the pool on Sundays, or else our staff would be well over 40 hours a week. And it would also be hard for us to ensure that they have one day off a week for break.
Other questions? Comments? Steve?
Yeah, I was just going to go on the kind of the same vein that Councillor Burke was talking about in Arthur. So we're not going to burn them out with that kind of a schedule, like the limited staff that we do have in Arthur.
Go ahead, Mandy.
Thank you, Mayor Lennox. So the schedule that we've prepared right now, we have them broken into sessions. So we have a team that will work the morning of one session, and then the next 2 weeks they would work the afternoon shifts, and that will give them about 35 to 40 hours a week in hours.
Okay, thank you.
Sherry, did I see your hand again?
Yeah, so I guess my concern with not having it open on the weekends is at least if the youth wanted to go swimming, there may be an option to alleviate some of the transportation that I know we're going to talk about later, that parents could actually drop their children off to the pool, even just for public swim. I mean, it doesn't have to be lessons. I'm just wondering if there's not any way that we couldn't shorten one of the other days to have the pool open for public swimming on Sunday. I just think that that's going to soften the blow a little bit, is if we have more accessibility on the weekends and when people aren't working.
Okay, Mandy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lennox. I certainly agree that being able to open the pool on Sunday would be a benefit to the community. My main concern, though, would be staff burnout. Even if we were to shorten one of the Tuesday or Thursdays, we would be looking at scheduling the staff 7 days a week, and it would be really quite difficult to ensure that they have one day off during that 7-day period.
Other questions, comments? Steve?
I guess with the with the whole recommendation about not pursuing the liner, I am in favor of unfortunately I guess of closing it for this year. I don't think it makes sense to spend good money after an issue like this and then only have it open for about not even a month, or maybe just a little bit more than a month. So just trying to I guess change the conversation just about hours into I guess talking about actually closing the pool for this year, not having it open at all in Mount Forest, which is really unfortunate.
Okay. Other discussion? Sherry, I'll go to you, and I saw your hand up, Darren.
Yeah, so I agree with Steve. I think that it's unfortunate, and I think I've kind of alluded to with my questioning that the Mount Forest pool isn't going to be open. I guess my follow-up question would be, and that's unfortunate, glad to see that we're going to put that $200,000 into reserve for the new pool. And I just throw this out as food for thought. Does this expedite us moving forward with the new pool sooner?
Okay. Darren?
My comment was more to clarify that some of the discussion is talked about opening the pool this year. Staff would not be bringing a budget item to deal with opening the Roy Grant pool in 2023 either.
Kind of figured that.
Yeah, if we're not prepared to fix it now, why would we change our mind for the future? Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough decision. I mean, although we've known for years that it's the condition is poor. It's a tough decision now. I think it's the right decision, and I think the right decision is to obviously put the $200,000 into reserve. And can't speak for everybody, but I would think to Councillor Burke's point that this issue would help expedite the construction of the new facility.
It certainly adds an element of pressure to it that we didn't have before.
For sure.
Other discussion with regard to this recommendation? Okay. It certainly gives, I'm sure it gives none of us any pleasure, but any concern with any of the line items in the recommendation on anybody's part? Okay, I think I would like to have some discussion around whether we pursue transportation options as well, but I mean, I recognize Councillor Hearn's pecuniary interest as well, so we'll just put that aside for the moment. Okay, I'll call the motion then. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And given the fact that I wouldn't mind talking about some transportation options, Councillor Hearn, I assume you'd like to excuse yourself from this part of the conversation.
No, but yes.
I'm just
Okay.
going to stop your video, Lisa, just until, oh, you've already done that. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so given the fact that we're not going to have pool operations in Mount Forest for 2022 and likely 2023, do we want to look at different ways to help Mount Forest patrons utilize the pool facility we do have in Arthur? And I guess, what does that look like? I think, the fact that there are some options like the Ghost and Ridewell are good things that allow people some flexibility. But do we need to subsidize those activities, or do we want to look at other options? I guess I'd like to see what other members of council would have to say. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. I guess my only question with the Ghost or Ridewell is where is the drop-off points for that? Like, I know the one is right downtown Arthur, which I don't want to have kids walking from downtown Arthur to the pool. I'm not sure if Ridewell goes exactly where you ask them to go. But again, if we were to set something like this up, we would have to have it dropped off at the arena and pick up at the arenas when the day is over as well. I don't know if that's something we can talk to the county about. Barring that, I think if we can't use Ridewell or the Guelph and Sound Transit, I think we do have an obligation to offer some sort of transportation to Arthur so that our patrons in Mount Forest can still have access to a pool, and I would have no problem defending subsidizing that as well.
So just for clarity, Ridewell is door to door. It will pick you up and drop you off wherever you wish. So it would take them right to the pool.
Okay, thanks, Andy. So with that, then could we organize a pickup with Ridewell to pick up, say there was 10 people at once? I don't know how many cars they have, to be honest with you. I don't know how many they can carry in their car, and I know because of COVID, it's probably quite limited. So I don't know if they'd be able to handle a capacity of 5 people for that matter.
I don't think they can. It's just regular automobiles being used. They will share rides now. That was off the options during COVID restrictions, but they're back to ride sharing now.
Okay.
But it's you book it either by calling 1-800 number or using the app, and they will pick people up at their door and drop them off wherever they want. Now for kids, of course, anyone 13 to 17 needs a signed permission slip. Anyone younger than that needs an adult to accompany them. Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think in good faith, we have to supply some kind of transportation. And I'm going to look to some of the staff. We had to do this, it was early on in my first council term that we had to close the Mount Forest pool and bus students or youth to the Arthur pool because of the filtration system. And I believe we used Cook's bus lines at that time. And I guess my question is how did we facilitate that? And do we need to offer busing just for public swim? Or do we need to bus them for their lessons as well?
Matt?
Yep, and through you, Mayor, to Councillor Burke. In 2010 or 2011, there was an instance where people or folks were bused from Mount Forest to Arthur related to a sand filter issue. Yeah, we don't have a ton of details as it relates to how that looked. I think right now we would like permission slips for people that are a certain age, and in the pool we allow maybe a 10 or 12-year-old to access it by themselves. But are we comfortable sending them down there with the transportation model that we're responsible for, unless we have someone who's maybe supervising that or watching it, which we currently don't have. Like, we currently don't have that role to kind of monitor that activity.
Steve?
You kind of talking like a chaperone, Matt, you mean?
Yeah, someone just, like, say I'm a 14-year-old kid and I go down to Arthur because I want to hang out with my friend and I never make my way back up to Mount Forest. How do we kind of protect ourselves against that?
Mhm.
Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay. Steve, do you have something further? I saw your hand again.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Lennox. I know there's the average of swimmers per day up in Mount Forest. Do we know if there has been anyone sign up for lessons in Mount Forest already? And I guess probably Mandy would know that, or Matt.
I think 74 we've had to cancel for session 1 and 2. So 74 users, sorry.
Right. If I could continue then, Mayor Lennox?
Well, I'll see whether Mandy has anything to add to that, and then we'll go back to you, Steve.
Sure, thank you, Mayor Lennox. So we have, some families have decided to register their children in sessions in Arthur for the remaining summer, whether that be private, semi-private, or class lessons. If there was availability, some families from Mount Forest have made that choice.
Okay, thanks, Mandy. Steve, did you have something further?
Yeah, if you didn't mind, and through you, when was session 1 scheduled, and then when does session 2 end?
Mandy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lennox. So session 1 runs June 20th to July 1st, and session 2 runs July 4th to July 15th.
Go ahead, Steve.
So I guess I'll keep going. So I guess I know you said there were 74 people that had canceled, so I think it's probably the right thing to do to make sure that they're accommodated somehow. And I know you just said, Mandy, that some of them had already registered in Arthur. I mean, we're supposed to be offering a pool where there is a pool, and we can't. So I think we have to get them to a pool somehow. The Ridewell or the Guelph and Owen Sound Transit may not be the right way. Cook's bus line doesn't seem like a bad option. I don't know if a lifeguard could go on the bus ride up and down, and to Matt's point, kind of take a head count and make sure they're all there when the bus returns to Mount Forest. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I think we got to figure that out.
I think the challenge is that we're already short-staffed, Steve. And to have one of the lifeguards tied up doing that, it really makes us to a critical stage where we would struggle probably to deliver the service that we've already got planned.
Is there a way that, maybe the crossing guards that we have in place now through the school year could be an option to get them some hours through the day as well and continue their kind of employment with us? Just looking at throwing some stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Matt?
Yeah, I would just say staff would look into options, but I think it would be probably impossibly hard given the market given my market observation. But I just think it's hard. It'll be hard to hire someone who's going to do that role for the amount of hours and kind of what the role is. But
Sherry?
Yeah, so could we not, if we were looking at using cooks, so we have split, because I don't think we've come to a decision as to whether we're taking them for swim lessons or if it's public swim. But if it's public swim, could the bus driver not take a head count? And then when public swimming is over, could I, to your point, Mayor Lennox, yes, we're short-staffed, but could one of these staff from the pool not make sure that those children get back on the bus? Public swimming is over. So we just have to make sure, really, it doesn't seem like it's that much different than at school, you know. Somebody makes sure that kids get on the bus or are directed to the right bus. Not everybody always makes it, but we need to try to alleviate that. But it seems kind of simple to me, and maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture. But if the bus driver took a head count from Mount Forest and a lifeguard took a head count at the end of swimming, everybody has to have a permission slip. So we should pretty clearly know who missed the bus. Or who's still, you know, maybe someone's hanging around in the park.
Matt?
yeah, I think from a staff standpoint, we just want to identify that as a risk. There's a lot of risk to that, especially like a school bus driver is focusing on driving. They're not focusing on probably who gets out of the bus, and a lifeguard's got different duties. So that'll be a change, and there's risk to that. That's maybe what staff is trying to raise for council's awareness.
Steve?
I think bus drivers are pre-screened to help children and make sure they get to where they're going and get back on the bus. I'm not a bus driver, but pretty sure that's a common practice. So yeah, like Councillor Burke said, maybe we don't need lifeguards. Maybe the bus drivers, like I said, are trained and pre-screened to help children already.
I doubt we're going to make a decision on this today based on the amount of information we have at this stage. Is that something we could ask the bus company if they could assist us with that service, Matt?
Yep, absolutely.
Karen?
So there's a different scenario that we haven't thought about. So, you know, you might get a 14 or 15-year-old who rides the bus to Arthur. Their parents maybe don't even know they're coming, and they get off the bus at the pool and walk to a friend's house. I mean, how much leeway does the bus driver or staff have from stopping them doing that they have no intention of even going to the pool? And then if they don't show back up in time when the bus is ready to leave, what happens? Do you sit there and wait? I don't know. Like, it's just another scenario that could happen.
Okay. So I think there's a number of questions around the busing that would need to be worked out. And just to offer another alternative, instead of busing, should we consider subsidizing people to find the rides, whether it be through RideWell or Ghost or whatever that's appropriate to them? One of the thoughts I had was with regard to using like I'll call it a passport system, where someone from Mount Forest could have a passport, they bring it to the pool, so you get entry to the pool, they get it stamped. And at the end of the season, they bring their passport in, we see how many days they went, we subsidize them a dollar amount for every time they access the pool in Arthur through their passport. It gives people the flexibility to use whatever transportation they have at their disposal and makes them relatively whole in terms of the cost associated with that. And I just throw that out there as an alternative. Dan?
Yeah, I think we have to maybe look at some alternatives. I think the bus idea is probably the cleanest, but when you hear of other, some of the possibilities that could happen, kids might wander away, not get back on the bus. We're taking a pretty big risk, I think, that way in transporting kids and maybe not paying as much attention to them as we should. So I think we do need to find an alternative, and that kind of appeals to me if there was something that we could reimburse people for.
Aaron?
And just for note that these children that we're talking about busing probably aren't the rural children that are used to riding a school bus every day. They're probably the Mount Forest children that walk to school. So this is potentially something new for them, riding the school bus. Just more food for thought, I guess.
Matt?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I just wanted to better understand the idea you're suggesting. So you're suggesting kind of the idea that you have a card or a passport, and then when you go to Arthur, it gets stamped when you go into the pool. And then at the end of the year, what council would have to make a decision on is kind of how much is a trip to Arthur worth if you have a Mount Forest address, but that's kind of what you're suggesting?
Yeah, something like that. I was thinking like 20 or 25 bucks per day that people access the pool. Like if we have 50 days and somebody went 50 times, you'd have to, be 50 times whatever the reimbursement rate you set is, and you would issue it based on their address. If they would fall in the Mount Forest pool catchment area, they would be eligible. If they were somebody who lives in Arthur and decided they wanted one of these passports, they wouldn't be eligible.
Oh, thank you for that.
Excuse me.
So I think, and correct me if I'm overstepping here, but I think what we need to do is ask staff to go back and do some more investigation on some of these options. We do have a meeting coming up a little over a week from now. And I mean, we could do another special meeting if we needed to, but is council okay to get staff to do a bit more digging and make a recommendation around some of this so we can finalize how we can support Mount Forest people getting to the Arthur pool?
I'm all right with that, Mayor.
Sherry?
Yes, sooner than later.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Go ahead, Steve.
Do we need a recommendation, or is that just direction to staff?
I think it can be direction to staff, but I'm just going to go to Matt and see if that's what he needs to work with, and is there any further information that he and other staff will need to proceed with that?
Yeah, so I guess my thought is you're not really proceeding with the recommendation. Are you willing to receive the report?
We've already passed the report and and approved the recommendation. This is
Okay.
the transportation part in addition.
Okay, yep, 100%, yep.
So are you comfortable with where you think you need to go from an information perspective?
I think I need to provide a recommendation to council on the 27th related to transportation options from Mount Forest to Arthur, because the Mount Forest pool isn't going to be open this season.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anybody on that? Steve?
Just going off of what Matt said and probably what Darren said as well, this might, I probably would cover 2023 as well, season in Mount Forest as well. Is that not right?
Yes, I think potentially if this is, if we can come up with a workable solution, it might be something we could replicate, but I think maybe, I don't want to see us commit to that at this stage, because I think there might be something we could learn along the way.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Anything further on that? Okay, so that, because it's a special meeting, we're right to the confirming bylaw. So Councillor Hearn, do you want to come back and join us for that? Okay, so the confirming bylaw recommendation is that bylaw number 67-22, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its special meeting held on June 17th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time and enacted. Should I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Moved by Sherry, seconded by Steve. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to adjournment. And the recommendation here is that the special council meeting of June 17th, 2022 be adjourned at 2:37 p.m. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan. All those in favor? That's carried. We're adjourned, and I think I'll probably see most of you later on this evening, so hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Andy.
See everyone later.
Bye.